You've shared with me a spreadsheet, and the title is 100 Years of Train Cinema. Choo-choo!
So, listeners, what I did here is
I watched 100 years worth of cinema.
Yes, I streamed it for non-stop on 7 screens while I was away.
All on a train where rung after rung of the tracks was being laid before you.
Yeah, that's right.
By random workers that
Yes.
you were able to acquire. Yes.
And they're also all holding their phones up behind them with one hand to show me a train movie.
Oh, cool.
Because it's 100 years is a lot.
It's a lot.
To make up in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Congrats.
I had a bit of spare time because I wasn't doing as many events and dance stuff and social stuff as I normally would, and I thought I should watch some movies. And I had so much fun watching the Cold War cinema movies that I went, I need a bigger project.
Okay.
We're doing train cinema. Trains and cinema, quintessential representatives of the 20th century, kind of a bygone era, but they kind of both still really awesome, but fading in relevance. An ode to their connected history.
You think trains are fading in relevance?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like their peak relevance was like the Wild West when it was like, the trains are coming.
Yeah.
They're taking our jobs.
Yeah. Oh, that's have you watched these movies as well, had you?
Is that what
There's just a lot of period pieces because trains used to be more relevant. I don't know if they're fading, but I feel like people don't get excited by trains anymore.
We definitely have more of them. And I get excited by trains.
Trains are actually great.
When we got those new, I can't remember what class trains they are, but you know.
HCMTs?
Yeah, the ones with the larger lights at the front and they're more slanted.
Yeah.
When they rocked up, at, and I saw one for the first time at Southern Cross, I literally had to stop. I was with my partner at the time. I was like, can we just stop for a second? I just want to look at this train for a little bit.
Yeah, but we're weird nerds. You got to remember that we're the exceptions very often.
I think they found it endearing, which was nice.
That's
Instead
nice.
of like this fucking.
People have been down into the Metro Tunnel.
I know.
I'm jealous.
Taste Set was down in the Metro
Taste
Tunnel.
Set, yes.
Have you seen that video?
Yes.
He goes from like fucking
From up top to down bottom and then back up again.
What's the up top one? It's
fucking Arden.
No.
Yes.
Is Arden the one that's at Melbourne Uni?
Parkville.
Down to Anzac and
Yep.
then went back
Back
up the
again.
wrong way
Yes.
or something and got to like that train will never go
Express.
that way.
No, sick.
And skip through that so many. Oh,
We also
so
a
cool.
freaking a little kid who's a big train fan. Went down there, got to go down there.
It took like 5 minutes to go from Parkville to Anzac or something.
Insane. I mean, they were expressing, right?
They skipped a bunch of the stops, but like that's normally like
crazy.
a 30, 40
That's
minute
40
drive.
minutes on it, yeah.
And it was 5 minutes.
Yeah, insane.
So cool.
Anyway, we're excited about trains. They're not fading
You
in
reckon we could ever
relevance.
get Tate Set on the podcast?
Yes.
Yes,
I reckon.
Okay, all right.
We're just going to keep building up our train. We've literally had Tate Set train YouTube as a whole topic that I brought once.
That's true.
So, what I decided to do is I did my research, I laid everything out, I knew I couldn't watch everything, and I decided I needed to watch at least one train movie from every 10 years.
You also didn't want to get called out by anyone if you were saying, oh, you know, I like train movies, and they're like, yeah, but have you done your research?
Yeah.
Have you done your own research?
Yeah, I've done my own research.
You've done your own research.
By that I mean I looked at a small self-selective group
On
of things
Reddit?
that echoed my existing views. I've done my own research. So, first one's written from the 1920s, and the last one's from the 2020s, and I watched one thing from every decade, and I did I numbered the decades in a slightly weird way so that I could watch a movie from 2011 and also from 2007, but I made it work.
Wait, no, that's one from each.
No, that's
decade.
fine.
That's fine.
No, I did something cooked somewhere, though. I watched something from like 91, and
Well, there's a spreadsheet here.
there's a spreadsheet right there that tells you everything. Anyway, and then I just couldn't get enough, so I watched some more, and I just put them in the bottom. I just watched, there's 5 more there.
I love that.
So I've watched some train movies, and I have ranked them. I thought about how best to distribute to you what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy about these. I thought about like a complicated whiteboard layout where it's like the things that they have in common and the things that are different. You have to like place them like a puzzle. But I didn't know if we were going to be doing this episode by distance or not, and I couldn't think of a compelling way, so I've spreadsheeted them. and I've given them a rank by quality, which is like out of it's stars, but it gets like double points.
Okay.
So that's like out of 10.
Okay.
And then
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
sorry. I'm looking at a different thing. I'm looking at a different quality. You have a couple
Yeah. So it's like rating or whatever. What did I call that?
Is that total score? Is that what you're talking about?
No, just the stuff.
Is it good?
Yeah.
That's
Is
the
it?
one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read out the columns?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great. So we have is it good?
Yeah.
We have quality of train. We have quantity of train. We have bonus point train in title.
Yep.
Then we have the total score, and as for a bonus, we also have purpose of train.
Yeah, the purpose of train is just because that one's not scored in any way. But
No,
it's just
but
like,
that's
what,
just I like that.
What function does the train serve in this movie? Yeah. So
How do you want to do this? Do you want to run through one by one?
I reckon, or we could run through like category, like purpose of train by purpose of train.
I would be interested to see how the train,
The evolution?
how they've been filmed and the progression of that.
Yep, great.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's go in order. Let's just do the main 10.
Yeah, let's do the main 10. And then if you want to be like, hey, shout out to this one. This
will.
one has Johnny Depp being racist. Let's do that one.
Yeah.
Great. So, 1926. Tell me about The General.
The General is a fantastic movie. Buster Keaton. You're aware of Buster Keaton?
Heard the name.
Okay. That was where I had also just heard the name. I was like, Charlie Chaplin, but it's a similar guy.
Great.
This is insane. This is like the equivalent of like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible stunt movie. It's this is that.
Oh.
But there's no CG. So anything that you see in an unbroken take, you know they did.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. The plot of The General in brief is like, it's a train chase. The whole thing, it's like an hour 20 or an hour and a half.
2 trains chasing, 1 person chasing a train.
Stolen train.
Stolen train.
Stolen, Buster Keaton has a train.
Not once again, I haven't said this yet, but once now,
And again later.
how do you steal it's on a track. You go on a train. If I've learned anything from Red Dead Redemption 2, is you go on a train, you steal as much as possible, you get shot by horses that just, like, police on
shot by horses.
Police on horses.
If I learned one thing, it's you get shot by horses.
Yeah, video games, they warp reality a little. You die, but then maybe you keep some of the money that you're on. Like, that's a short... You can't take a train and then, like, drive it somewhere else unless you have a team of people laying the tracks in front of you after they're taking the tracks from behind you to be resourceful.
Here's the thing about trains. Sometimes in movies, they never stop, and that's the whole thing about a train. And sometimes they stop, and that's the whole thing. That's one of the biggest, like... differentiating factors between these movies is like, is the train unstoppable or is the train frequently stopping and that's the only reason it works for this movie? We'll get to it.
Okay, yeah, I'm really intrigued.
Anyway, so they stop to fill it up on water and coal and have a snack and whatever. It's set during the Civil War. Buster Keaton is on the side of the South, and he tries to enlist multiple times. They don't let him in because he's like too short and too weak and stuff. But it's
also,
a weird...
you're black, and we don't like that.
The first,
I don't think he is, but I just think that would be... That's
good. That's
It'd
funny.
be a funny joke if it was a joke in the thing.
The first like 10 minutes of this
You
movie
winced.
are just...
It probably wasn't a funny joke. I just said it. Ignore me.
I don't know, you're the American, you tell me. As a white person. The first 10 minutes of this are just him trying to enlist with the South, which is, if this was any other movie, I'd be like, that put me off. But it's good and it's just fine. It's not really relevant to the plot in any way. There's just two sides and one of them's trying to steal a train. Anyway, so of course the only thing to do when your train gets stolen is to steal a train. So he steals another train and then chases them. So
is it on the same track or
same track.
Parallel track? Okay,
same
track.
One track, same track. At one point it splits.
Yeah, it did.
And that's a thing because then you hop off the train, you change the points. The other train's going off the dead end track now.
Yeah.
Then they got to revert. It's the mechanics of it are lots of fun. Anyway, so at one point there's a mortar cannon that he shoots at the other train. There's lots of stuff about tying them up with ropes. He's got a love interest who comes in and out of the movie as well. So at one point they're on the train. Just hilarious. Like set up and payoff, and it's a silent film, so there's no trickery. It's just that thing that we say all the time, but I like that they thought about it.
Yeah.
And they set up jokes and they pay off the jokes and it's funny. And it's just good and it's almost all on the train.
Yeah.
And the bit where they're off the train is the worst bit. And
he's trying to enlist
that too.
for the South or whatever.
Yeah. It's just very good. It's just very kinetic. Anyway, we're going to come across that a lot.
While I like your spreadsheet here, I feel like it's missing one crucial.
What's that?
One crucial column, which is length of movie.
Ah.
How long is The General?
The General's like just under an hour and a half.
Okay.
A normal good length for a movie to be.
All right, sick. Awesome. All right, well, the next one is 1934's 20th Century.
Oh, sorry. Maybe we should tell listeners the total score of The General was 18.
Sure. Yeah, got 4 for quality of train, 4 for quantity of train, 5 for quality of train, 4.5 for is it good, and no bonus points for train in the title, and 18. Yeah, total score of 18.
The train general train, the train. I don't know how you squeeze it in there, but you could get an extra point. Yeah. Train
that's carrying that guy who wants to be
with
the South.
Well, it'd score 19 if it was that.
Tell me about 1934's 20th Century.
Okay, 20th Century starts out really strong. 20th, it's like a theater.
Bum. Bum.
But then it got bought by Disney, and it's going in the trash can.
I can't do the Disney sound.
It just goes bong. Now, when you open Disney Plus, it just goes bong. Yeah. 20th Century is about a director and an actress, and it's I'm told it's something called a screwball comedy, which is a thing we used to have.
It sounds like would that be like a Three Stooges?
I don't know.
Those are 3 screwballs. Those are probably the only 3 comedic characters that I would describe as screwballs.
It's because they screw paper up into balls all the time? Throw it away?
Nah, they just seem a little loose.
Oh, loose. So the strong thing about this is the performances, which are really like hammed up. She's like an absolute prima donna, like typical Hollywood actress. I mean, it's theater, it's New York, but that's the thing. And he's like the controlling, manipulative, awful director who pulls out great performances, so everyone forgives him all the time. And they just spend the whole movie like screaming at each other and then like making up with each other and then like screaming at each other again. And I liked the first maybe half hour, but then it became apparent that it's just that the whole time.
Oh.
And it's like if you're at a super high frequency all the time, it loses its charge because there's no dynamic range. So it's just like, I just totally clocked out. Also, the train, this movie is called 20th Century, which is named after a train that goes down the coast.
Yeah.
And that comes in at towards the end in the third act.
Barely a train movie.
Barely a train movie, but not only does it come in late, it's not used well as a train. They could be on any form of transport or even just in 2 adjacent rooms in a building. They could have been backstage at the theater and nothing about this movie changed.
Do you think it was a trend thing? It's like, well, we have to have our characters go to space because, like, I don't know, the Avengers went to space recently. That's a big thing. Let's put the Fast and the Furious characters, like, they're in space now. Do you think they're like, let's trains are big, put them on a train?
Maybe, could be. I don't think trains were that big yet, though.
You think this was pre-trains getting big?
No, this was right in the era for trains, but I don't know if anyone was doing interesting things with trains yet, except for 8 years before when someone made the best train movie ever. But anyway, we talked about that.
So 20th Century, quantity of train 2, quality of train 1, is it good 1, total score of 5. Purpose of train was closed location.
5 is the lowest score here.
Oofed.
I think. Yep. That was my least favorite for sure.
Shit.
It's a couple of hours long.
Well, let's go to 1945's Brief Encounter. So far, we haven't had a single training title, but that's fine.
Disappointing.
Tell me about Brief Encounter.
Okay, Brief Encounter, 1945. It's an American film. We're just about to...
I was about to say good year, but it might not.
No, bad year. Right after the war, just before the... Well, Europe had bad years after that. America got rich because of all the war they did overseas. But, yeah.
Does America like war?
Yeah.
For money reasons.
They actually have a whole industry that's just war.
Wild.
They call it something else like defense, but it's just war. This is super sad. This, I'm not going to bury the lead, has very little train in it, but it's still a very good train movie. It starts with a scene between 2 characters. There's a man and a woman sitting at a train station, and something's going on between them. It's very subtle and understated, but in between the lines, something is happening. And then a chatty, gossipy woman comes in and interrupts them, and then he has to go on his train.
Okay.
That's the opening scene, and you're like, something's up here. And what you learn, we then go back in time a bit, and what we learn is that these two this man and this woman are both married to other people and have good, nice lives that they're happy with, but they've also fallen deeply in love and are having an affair and feel very conflicted about it. And he is about to move to South Africa forever. And that was the last time they ever saw each other. And their chatty-ass friend just came in and was like, oh, And so the second scene in this film is the woman going home with this chatty friend and just like, there's voiceover. There's like exposition, voiceover, internal dialogue, which normally in a film is like, why are you doing this? It feels like straight out of the theater or something. But it's just really good and really sad because this woman's rabbiting on and she's like, oh my God, I'm so depressed and also I'm so conflicted. Am I a bad person? Oh my God, do I deserve love? Yeah. And so then we flash back and we watch them develop a relationship. They meet once a week at the train station for like half an hour while they're waiting for their train exchange to cross over.
Yeah.
And you see the relationship build up and then you see it end again at the end and it's fucked and it's really sad.
That sounds really intriguing, like a really compelling, I don't know.
It reminded me a bit of Past Lives from last year because like she goes home to her husband and they have a chat and she clearly loves him and loves her kid and loves her life. And they sit there and he does the crossword and she does the knitting and they listen to the radio. But she also has this other thing going on that has ignited something in her. Oh, it's really good. Barely any trains in it, but they're used at the start and the end, and that sense of transitory space. It's a train platform movie, really. You even get to know like the shopkeeper and the guard because they're always passing by. It's not quite a time loop movie, but it feels like. Yeah, it's really good.
Incredible.
It's really good.
That sounds like one that I
would
really
watch. Good. Yeah.
The quantity of train was 0.5.
One of the least train in this whole thing.
Quality of train was quality of train was 3. Is it good was 4.5.
So doing a lot of heavy lifting because that gets doubled.
Yeah, and then total score was 12.5, and the purpose of train was chance encounter.
Bringing strangers together.
1951. Speaking of strangers, strangers on a train.
Okay, this is the first Alfred Hitchcock film I've ever seen.
Ooh, fancy.
Feels dated.
Why is that?
2 guys meet on a train. One of them's a psychopath. You might empathize. No, you wouldn't empathize. That's kind of the whole thing. He's a tennis player. So I was like, is this the Challengers?
Oh, is
it's
this
not a Challengers?
Are they going to kiss?
They don't kiss.
Fuck.
Which is really disappointing. But there is a third person in this triangle, but it's not a love triangle. Basically.
Is it a triangle of sadness?
Nice. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, but on a train instead of a boat.
Triangle of sadness.
Yes. Vertical Bermuda triangle of
Then it would get points for train and title.
That's true. It would get an extra point. No, it wouldn't. It already gets the point.
Double point.
It isn't called a train. This is our new Nepalese movie, Train. 2 extra points. Might suck, but it's going to score at least 4. Tennis player.
Yep.
Very normal guy. Wants to marry the daughter of a senator. Psychopath wants to murder his dad. He makes a secret plan. He says...
Psychopath wants to kill his own dad or the other person's dad?
Psychopath wants to kill his own dad.
Okay, yeah.
Tennis player is technically married to a woman that he kind of split up with a long time ago, but never got a divorce, and she doesn't want to give him a divorce. Psychopath says, if you murder my dad, I'll murder your wife, and we have never met before, so no one will know. And the tennis player says, that's insane. I don't want to do this, and I never want to see you again.
Yeah.
And so the psychopath goes and murders his wife.
Oh my God.
So the drama is there. It's a thriller, obviously.
Yeah.
I think if I had to narrow down what I didn't love about this film, it was probably the scene where a woman is walking through like a fairground amusement park and she's tracked down and stalked by not 1, not 2, but 3 separate men.
Men who don't know each other?
2 of them are unrelated to the plot and they just want to give her a kiss because she's she doesn't want to be married. She's just out there for fun.
Right, yeah.
But they want to take her across to an island and make out and who knows what their intentions are.
Is this Challengers?
No, because of all the murder.
Okay. I just remember in that bit of Challenges when they were on an island.
Yeah.
Getting ready to kiss.
There is that. And then there's the psychopath also. So it's just male gaze and exploiting of female bodies and not that. I have described the premise and it sounds electric, but it's a lot of conversations that aren't that interesting. But there's some good individual scenes and moments in there.
Yeah. Like
that one where it's hey, if you murder my dad, I'll murder your wife.
Regardless of what you say, I'm going to murder your wife.
Yeah. And then he keeps knocking at his door I did my bit. Are you going to hold up your side of the bargain? He's I did not agree to this. You should be in prison.
Well, that sounds incredible. The quantity of train got a 0.5.
They literally meet on a train and that's it. I was betrayed by this title.
But the quality of train got a 2.
Yeah, well,
Is It Good got a 2.
Because that conversation happened on the train. That's why.
And the bonus point for Train and Title, it got that. So that's a 7.5.
Yeah.
Also, Purpose of Train was, again, a chance encounter.
Yep.
1969.
See, this is where my decades get a bit fucked because that's an 18-year gap.
It still technically works.
It still technically
50s
works.
to the 60s. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yes.
This is a famous one. I've heard of this one.
I've been confused by this one for years because
What do you mean?
I didn't know if they were real people or not.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yeah.
I knew so it's written by William Goldman, who wrote The Princess Bride, which is probably the book that I have read more than any other book in the world. And he has Fourth Wall Breaks where he writes as him, and he talks about writing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh, yes.
And there's so many fucked up layers in that book. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was completely made up.
Yeah.
Real, but he didn't write it. Real, but he wrote it, and he's telling the truth. Or real, but he wrote it, but he's doing it as a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's real, and he wrote it.
Okay.
And also, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were both real.
Okay.
And also,
Real people or like
real people, real cowboys.
Okay.
Real
So it really did
outlaws.
a 180. It was like, I'm going to write this
bit's
story
all
about
just
real
real.
people, and then after this, it's all going to be faked and mindfucks.
Yeah. So, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they're outlaws. It's the end of the era of outlaws. They're being pursued by the Pinkertons and by the police. And,
Pinkertons. I know them. Where do I know them from?
So, are you familiar with the game Red Dead Redemption 2?
I am.
So, this is that.
Okay.
Like, there's being inspired, and then there's just doing the thing.
Okay.
I don't know if you got to the bit in the game where they're being pursued and they jump off a cliff into the water.
I don't. Oh, probably. I think I've
directly lifted from this.
Right.
I don't know if you got to the bit where they heist a train.
I've heisted trains.
No, but like in the story mission early on, where they heist a train,
Probably.
and the guard won't let them in the door, so they just blow up the door.
Yeah.
Straight from this. Okay. They actually have a hilarious relationship with the train guard where they rob him multiple times, so they're like friends. But he's like, no, I'm being employed by Mr. Railways. I couldn't possibly open the door. And they're like, okay, well, stand back. I don't want to hurt you. It's been a while since we chatted. It's really good. So, there's 2 or 3 train heists in this early.
Yeah.
And then it's them running across the land. They lose one horse, lose another horse. They're like down on their luck, talking about it. We're going to escape to Australia, and like we're going to escape to South America. It's Red Dead. The characters are just Dutch and Arthur.
Yeah, great.
There's even I don't want to spoil Red Dead 2 any further, but it's just that. And then there's one more brief appearance of a train when they do go overseas for a bit. Anyway, so not super train heavy, not especially great use of trains, except for those heists are pretty fun, but brief. But just good. Just a good movie. Just glad I finally watched this. It's funny. It's darkly funny.
Right.
Black
1969.
comedy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really good. Paul Newman, Robert Redford.
Yep. Yeah. I know both of those people.
Yeah. This is also still just in the age where the credits and the title play before the movie.
Oh, God, I hate that era. I hated that era as a kid. It's so annoying because you sit there and just last for so long. Now you can fast forward. But I don't think that what they need for streaming services is that, like, skip recap, but just, like, skip credits.
Skip over. Sometimes they're done in a good way, and we'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah, they do it in a good way sometimes.
Sometimes a modern movie does it in a good way even.
Yeah.
They go back to the olds.
I think do they do it in Black Panther when they're doing that
I think
recap
that's just
of what
a regular
happened?
prologue.
Yeah.
I don't think that's got credits in it at all.
Deadpool, all of the Deadpools do it.
Yes.
But they don't have all of the credits.
No,
they just have some. Okay, this Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, quantity of train got a 1.
Sorry, folks.
Quality of train got a 3. That's decent. These are all out of 5, by the way.
Yes,
just a reminder to everyone.
Not out of 10. I hate everything.
Is It Good got a 4.
It's very good. It's good.
No training title. Total score is a 12, and the purpose of the train was heist.
Yes.
Okay, 1978. The first great train robbery.
Interestingly, this one was a really hard one to rate, to put in the title, because in either America or Europe, it's the Great Train Robbery, and in other ones, it's the first Great Train Robbery.
I guess in those areas, they were like...
There's no more. There was just one.
We had another train robbery in this region, and it predates this. You're not allowed to... Legally, you can't say
this
you were
isn't
the
first one. Probably the Americans were like, you can't say first.
Yeah.
We've had so many. This is a movie that I had never heard of before, despite the fact that it's directed by Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park and helped on the script.
Yeah.
It's got Sean Connery in it, and it's a train heist movie. That's me.
Yeah, you like those things.
I like all of those things.
Wait, who did you say was in it again?
Sean Connery, who I didn't really know that I like, but I certainly like now.
Okay.
This is, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good movie.
Wow.
I was entertained throughout, but it's missing something. And I think if it was directed by
Kineticism?
Steven Spielberg, I would love it. It might be... some of the sequences are great, but there's something about the pacing, or it feels like it's an adaptation directed by the person who wrote the book.
Yeah.
Like, there's maybe a tiny bit of... there's not even any fluff that I would cut, but there's just...
Kind of like a Fantastic Beasts, and where have they gone? Oh, they're in the case.
they're in the case the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but like it needed the writer and the director to be a different person, like The Social Network or something. Like that comes alive in that contrast. Anyway, it's very good. It's very funny. It's like Ocean's 11 or any other heist film, except that it's a heist on a train. It's great. There's at one point they're practicing because there's like 3 kids. Okay, there's a war going on in Crimea. And the payment every month for the British soldiers in Crimea comes from the bank, goes on a train, and then goes on a boat. So their plan is to heist the train. Now, the money that goes onto that train is in a safe, and the safe has 3 keys, and they're given to like one train person, one bank person, and the boss of the whatever company or whatever. So they have to individually heist those keys, make an imprint of those keys, put the key back so no one knows you're stealing them, because if one's missing, the whole thing is cooked. Then make a copy of that key. And so the first hour and a bit is them collecting the first 2 keys and collecting the crew. Also, Sean Connery is he's pretending to be a like new money rich guy, and he's going and talking to the people. Like he's doing an infiltration at the same time. Classic. And then they have to steal the 3rd key. And the 3rd key's sitting at the train station, because it's like the conductor's key or whatever. And there's just one guard. It's like one guard that they have to get past that rotates. They are like staking him out to see what time he goes to the bathroom, whatever. And they learn that they have 75 seconds where they can sneak in, copy this key, put it back, lock the door again, get out. And you see them practicing at home, and they're like 76 seconds, fuck, but you'll have to go up the stairs. Yeah, I know, I'm practicing. Like, and then they attempt it, and it's the most tense 75 seconds I've ever seen. Yeah. It's a great.
It's run in real time.
Yes, pretty sure, or very close to. Just great. Just a great scene. And then, like, the final heist has Sean Connery, like, attached to ropes, bouncing around on a train or whatever, and gets a little bit anticlimactic or something. But, God, there's some good stuff in here.
Is this pre-Sean as James Bond or post?
This would be just before, I would have thought. Just before. Anyway.
How often do you think that they actually do that? Like the 3 keys thing? Or is that just a thing that...
I reckon it's a movie thing.
Yeah, I reckon just one person has the key.
Just one person has a key.
Give multiple keys to multiple people.
Yeah. I don't reckon... The like...
Yeah. Probably that for
banks.
like... Yeah, maybe banks or maybe like probably nuclear stuff.
I was going to say that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would assume that those are 2 same keys, just 2 different plugs that they need to be turned at the same time instead of like, we're going to do 3 different keys.
Yeah.
Because if one person loses a key, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're absolutely screwed. Oh,
you
no.
dropped it down the drain?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dennis had a big night out and like doesn't really remember where he was. Lost that, his wallet and a finger. And
yeah.
Who's to say?
Yeah. So, first great train. Also, I love that it's called the first great train robbery. That's great framing.
Yeah, it's
because no one's ever tried it before, and it adds to the stakes. It's good.
So quantity of train got a 1. Quality of train got a 3. Is it good? Got a 4. Bonus point for train in the title. Yes. Total score is 13. Now, 1985, the runaway, or not even the runaway train, just runaway train.
Very interesting, right? Basic premise is we're going to do a runaway train movie. Let's call it Runaway Train. We're just going to we'll get a Russian director in maybe because we can. That seems fun. We'll set it in somewhere isolated, like Canada. It's cold, so you can't stop the train, you can't get out. That's good. Keep it on rails. Maybe they can start in Alaska, so they start in America. Maybe they're 2 convicts escaping a high-security prison. And so there's police and like a warden in a helicopter with a gun chasing them down. And also they're on a runaway train that they can't stop because they know nothing about trains. Also, they're almost dead because they just escaped climbing through freezing sewers. And also there's an engineer and she just accidentally ended up on the train and she's trying to stop the train. But their interest is kind of in keeping the train going. And also they're all going to yell at each other and fight all the time.
So I'm really noticing something as we go through these decades.
Yeah.
Just the scale of the action and thrill is just exponentially going up.
I couldn't decide if this was good. I was watching it and I was like, 1 minute I was like, oh my God, that's such a compelling performance by Jon Voight. And then I'd be like, this is the cheesiest, hammiest ham and cheese 80s sandwich I've ever seen.
You said you couldn't decide if it was good. You did give it a 3 for Is It Good, which is pretty solid.
I just settled in the middle, I guess.
But quantity of train was 4, and quality of train was 4.
It's good. There's a bridge that can't take a certain amount of weight. They can't take a corner it's good. They keep cutting to this is something we see a few times later on. They cut to a control room where people are just like, oh, jeez, because you can't do very much. You can maybe change where the points are or like ring the police and ask them to stop some traffic. That's it.
Then the horse is fine. I'm going to start shooting. It got a bonus point for train in the title.
Yep, Runaway Train.
And that's 15.
That's what it says on the tin.
That's pretty good. 1995, Before Sunrise.
Yes. Now, this one I didn't actually watch as part of this run because there was some films that I really wanted to watch. This slot should have been 1991's Europa by Lars von Trier, but it's not available anywhere in Australia.
No.
And I thought about VPN, but I'd already spent way too much money on this.
Okay.
So I decided to go with something that I'd seen before that involved a train from the 90s, Before Sunrise. Richard Linklater, fucking Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy.
Yep.
It's very good. It's a classic. I was lucky enough to see it in cinemas for the first time ever earlier this year.
Really?
It's just really good. Before Sunrise.
Stunning.
Watch it. It's great. Not very they're on a train at the start and the end, but I think it counts as a train movie because, again, that sense of transit and limited time, and she has to catch a train back to Paris the following morning, sunrise. So, yeah, very good. This and Brief Encounter, the other sad train station one, very good, very good.
Okay. But also seem to have not a whole lot to do with trains.
Not a whole lot to do with trains. Train station movies.
Train station movies. So you got a 1 for quantity of train, a 3 for quality, a 4.5 for Is It Good, which lands it at a 13.
Very good.
That's another chance encounter one.
Yep.
Then, 2007, Unstoppable.
Oh, I've been waiting to talk about Unstoppable.
I can tell by the score. Jesus.
Was this whole thing just a Trojan horse to talk about Unstoppable? No.
It was a Trojan train.
It's a Trojan train. Unstoppable is directed by Tony Scott. Now, Tony Scott, brother of Ridley Scott, less famous brother. I haven't seen any of his films prior to this. Renowned for making like very solid, reliable blockbusters that are maybe not super elevated, but just good. This is that. It's got a very young I'm going to have to look up who I'm talking about because I have been holding so many actors' names in this brain so far.
Yeah, you've been doing really well. But, I'll tell you what, I'll look it up while you tell me more about it. You can look it up while I tell you about it.
The credits to this film are just a train in a yard. It's called Train 777. 777 is the name of the train. And you know the scene in The Batman that everyone talks about? Sorry, I know you're busy and I'm bringing up The Batman. That's criminal. You know the scene with the Batmobile?
Did someone... I'm Batman. I do a Batman voice right now. I'm Batman. Did someone say criminal?
Yeah, there's a criminal on a train. He's going all the way across Canada.
Let me get my horse. I don't use guns, but my horse uses guns. The bad horse. Bad horse. Away.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. You know that scene where everyone talks about how the Batmobile's shot like a beast or like an animal?
Did someone say shoot? My parents were shot once. Sorry, what did you say?
By a horse. You know how everyone talks about the Batmobile is shot like a monster or like a beast?
Yeah.
This is that.
Ooh.
The train is like alive, and it feels like this is another runaway train movie, which maybe is the best variety of train movies. Maybe. I'm thinking about it. Heists are pretty good. It's like, so it's going at way too fast. It's going like 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, right? But it's shot like, not just like a wild wolf or something. It's shot like a giant unstoppable rhinoceros. And it's got like helicopters always circling it. There's like news helicopters. And at one point the military send in a helicopter to try to drop a gun to the train to stop it. He just fucking hits it immediately and is like knocked unconscious. It's also based on a true story because that really happened. He's fine. Okay. But he looks pretty bad after he hits his head directly on a train that's going 150 k's an hour. So it's like this rhinoceros beast with flies buzzing around its head, and it's full of toxic chemicals. Rosario Dawson is in this.
So yeah, I've got the cast here.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Fucking excellent.
Chris Pine.
Fucking excellent.
And Rosario Dawson. Those play the main three.
Great cast. So Rosario Dawson
I love anything she's in. She's great.
I don't think this is maybe the first time Okay, I'm going to take a detour to talk very briefly about the Grand Theatre for Rosario Dawson.
Okay.
She's a very good actress.
Yeah,
She
phenomenal.
makes everything she's in better.
Yes.
She's always compelling.
Yeah.
I don't think she's ever had a good role. Ahsoka, not a good role.
We talked about
Rent,
this at the bottom.
not a good role. I'm sure I bring this up at every opportunity.
The night nurse?
Night Nurse, not a good role. She elevates it, but it's not actually that interesting.
Yeah.
This is maybe borderline.
Okay.
Again, there's no depth to this character, but the urgency in this film, the sense of panic, she's got a line at one point, she says, a missile the size of the Chrysler building. It's also filled with toxic chemicals. And so it's not just like they have to stop it as soon as possible. It's like they have to stop it quickly or else it's going to go into a bigger town.
Yeah.
And so the money guys want to derail it as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
but they're like, that's going to kill lots of people. We have to slowly stop it. We have to bring it to a stop. It's not just enough to crash it. Anyway, corporate like overrides what the workers want and try to derail it. And they put on, there's like a special derailing ramp that you can put on the track. It just plows straight through it.
Oh.
Like 777 is... It has character.
Yeah.
It has personality. It has like a violence and unrestrained rage. Do I sound insane?
Yeah, like a little bit, but it sounds cool though.
Anyway, so what happens is so Denzel and Chris are on a train. He's like an old wizened guy who's been around for like 40 years doing railroads. We find out over the course of the film that he's just been let go. He's been made redundant. And Chris Pine is part of like a new generation who are getting like subsidies to go on and work and they don't know anything. And he makes a mistake at the start. And Denzel's like this fucking kid. But they bond over the course of again, it's super basic, but it works. Yeah. It's like a movie out of the 80s, but it's in 2007, but it's actually good. And they're going and the train's coming at them and they're like, Denzel realizes like, we don't have room to go onto that siding that corporate is telling us to go onto because this motherfucker, Chris Pine, put too many carriages on this train, which is the mistake that he made earlier. So they're like, we have to go to top speed, try and get to the next siding before the train that is coming head on at us gets there. And they like just make it into the siding and the like 777 clips them. And then it becomes apparent when the derailment fails that they are the only way, the hope of stopping it. So they have to go backwards down the whole track at top speed to try and couple with the train. And then once they couple with 777, they can't just slam the brakes on or they're going to wreck their brakes and then just get dragged along by this monstrous beast. Yeah. So they have to like very gently and slowly apply the brakes. God. And Chris Pine, meanwhile, is like hanging upside down trying to like connect the coupling of the trains. It's just fucking
I want to watch this movie now.
It's so good.
Even with you, like, I don't know, you've explained a couple of, like, seems like really tense points. I'm still like,
There's so
I want
much
to see that, though.
At one point, some of the police try and shoot the emergency brake, but the emergency brake is right next to the fuel tank, and it's like they're just firing shotguns at this freaking train as it whizzes. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's insane.
Okay, so with all these train movies that you've been mentioning, I can't help but thinking of the movie Speed.
Yes.
And how...
The bus movie.
The bus movie, which Keanu Reeves plays a police officer, and he's on this bus, and he finds out the bus has a bomb on it.
Can't slow down.
And once the bus goes over... I think it's 50 miles an hour. No, once it goes over 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed.
Activated, and then if it drops below.
If it ever drops below, it'll blow up. And there's a bunch of like, well, not a bunch. It's like a school bus, so not a whole lot, but like a decent amount of just regular people who are like, we don't want to die, and they're not allowed. They're like on the phone with the bomber, and he won't let anyone off the bus, and he can see what's going on. And if anyone goes off, he'll blow the whole thing up. And it's so tense. And they're in LA as well, so like as the big highways were getting constructed, you got to clear the traffic, and you're going on these big highways and trying to find a place to just be able to loop. And it's super tense. It's a great film. The end of that actually takes place on a train.
I've watched Speed once a long time ago and I don't remember.
I think you
should watch it again.
Should watch it again. Speed 2 came along. Well, Sandra Bullock's also in that film. She just plays a regular civilian, but she is she's instrumental in fixing the solution just as much as Keanu Reeves is. And Speed 2, Keanu Reeves is out. We just have Sandra Bullock, and it's basically the same premise, but it's on a boat. The stupid thing about a boat is like it has all of the waters.
Just steer it into an empty bit.
It can just
go around in circles.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It wasn't compelling. Yeah. But I think if they had a similar thing, but it was a train, would be so interesting. It's like, where can we maneuver this to? We cannot slow this train down.
Trains are perfect because they're on rails, so they're stuck, but there's sidings and bridges and stuff, so there's options, but it's limited, and they're just like, there's just, same with the general, there's just the right amount of like agency and choice, but you still feel like it's not like, why didn't they just jump off or something? Like the rule, we all know how a train works.
Yeah.
And there's like, I've seen steam trains and diesel trains and like cyberpunk trains. Like it's just, we fundamentally understand what a train is.
Yeah.
You've got the roof, you've got the front, you've got the side. It's just, trains are a great setting for this stuff.
Yeah. And if you had something like speed, but set on a train, what if they run out of tracks? Maybe they'll have to start pulling the tracks from behind and putting them in front and creating your own tracks to keep the speed up. I'm just saying, I think it's a good idea that someone should do it.
Anyway, I've taken up so much of this podcast with trains, and we're nearly there, listeners, I promise.
2011. Oh, sorry. Unstoppable got a 5 for quantity of train, 5 for quality of train, and a 4 for is it good, landing at 18 points, tied with The General, the first film.
I think that's appropriate.
Now we have 2011 Source Code.
This is Jake Gyllenhaal time loop film. A terrorist he did a bombing on a train, and he's going to do another bigger bombing.
Yep.
And Jake Gyllenhaal is wired up to some software, and he has to go into another person's body and do an investigation. So he has 8 minutes to be on this train and find the bomber. Because if you find him in the past, the military can know what he looks like, know what his car rego is, and figure out who he is. So it's Jake Gyllenhaal dying a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's like a mid-tier time loop. You get all the fun bits where they know they're like coffee spills. Train track explosion, like they know what's and they catch it all and stop it all, and people are like, what?
Yeah.
Or it comes in for
what if the guy in Groundhog Day used it to prevent crimes instead of just
do crimes,
having sex with a woman that he likes or whatever?
It's that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I called him Isaac, then I called him Felix Leiter. Those are characters he's played. His name, of course, is Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
And he's in it as a kind of, he runs the program on the outside, and he's kind of, initially you're like, oh, he's just a military guy, but he's got this sinister undertone where he will kind of do anything to get his program to go ahead. It's good. It's good. It's fine. If it came on the TV, I'd watch it. I wouldn't seek it out.
Okay, yeah.
Source Code.
I just looked at the poster for it. It looks like James Bourne, not James Bourne, fuck. Jason
Jesus
Bourne.
Christ, it's James Bourne.
Jason Bourne, like it's very much that era with it's like blue and squares and like
and
a
shaky
title
cam.
and angular.
Yeah, it's fine.
Finally, we have 2023's Kill. Oh, sorry. Source Code scores 3.5 quantity of train, 3.5 quality of train. Is it good? 3, landing it at 13.
13's not a bad score. That's mostly because so much of it happens on a train.
Yeah, sure. Okay, 2023, Kill.
Yeah, look, this one's an Indian film. I wanted to have much more international stuff on here, but they were really hard to find. I wanted to watch a movie called The Bullet Train, which was from Japan in 1975, and I wanted to put that here as a trick because I'd seen that you just watched Bullet Train.
I had.
But I couldn't find it anywhere. Anyway, but I did watch Kill on Netflix from 2023.
Someone needs to teach you how to pirate shit.
Yeah. Well, I've always just had someone in my life who happens to do it for me. I wouldn't know who they are. I wouldn't possibly say on a podcast. This is a vengeance. This is a wick-like.
Okay.
You know what I mean when I say a wick-like?
I'm thinking like a Taken, you know. There's like a Taken?
I'm thinking like a candle. I haven't seen Taken.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now.
Nice. So, yeah, he gets on a train. He's a special forces, but he's on leave. Gets on a train with the woman he wants to marry. And her family, so his in-laws. His father-in-law to be is a rich businessman, and there's like a group of bandits, like modern bandits, on this train, and they start doing a robbery. They're just kind of generally robbing everyone, but then they realize he's a businessman, kidnap the daughter.
This is a Taken situation.
It escalates. She's killed at the Indian films, a lot of Bollywood films, which this is not. It's just a film from India. There's lots of different industries over there, but almost always have an intermission. And the very last scene before the intermission is like a very graphic, intense murder of her in front of his eyes, separated by the doors between the carriages.
Oh.
So that's a pretty good use of a train. And then you get into the second half and it gets worse. All of the rest of his family are murdered. He goes on a killing spree. His content warning. like hanging dead bodies from the rafters of the train so that when the bandits come through, they get freaked out. It's just him and his Special Forces friend. Special Forces friend gets murdered. Just him left, going on like a Last of Us 2 style vengeance quest where you start on his side and by the end you're like, this whole thing is fucked.
Yeah.
So it got points for like intensity, but it was just exhausting, and it was unpleasant to watch.
Yeah.
But like powerful filmmaking, I guess. But it was that thing of like
lives up to its title of kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it got a 4.5 for quantity of train.
It's all on a train.
Got a 4 for quality of train.
Because of that scene with the murder in the window of the train.
It got a 2 for
and
is
also
it good?
the rafters. Yeah, I didn't like it.
And total score 12.5. Now, you have some, I will just rattle off some of these.
Yeah.
What are those things called when you list things but they're not
Honourable mentions.
Honourable mentions, thank you. We have 1964's The Train. We have 2013's Snowpiercer. We have 2013's The Lone Ranger.
One of those is much better than the other one, who's to say?
We have 2007's Darjeeling Limited. And
Wes Anderson?
Oh, then we have 2016's A Train to Busan.
Zombies on a train.
That's
of course someone should try that.
Oh, I've heard of that one. That one's apparently good.
It's pretty good. Fast zombies.
Oh.
Terrifying.
There a couple that come to mind that I'm surprised you didn't watch was the Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, I've seen the Browner version of that. It's not good and it's a bad use of the train.
Yeah.
The train stops. Bad use of a train. Haven't seen the old one, but there was other ones from that decade that I thought were going to be more innovative uses of a train.
The other one is Bullet Train, which I watched recently.
Apparently it's bad, so I wasn't really interested in seeking out the bad ones. You liked it?
Yeah, a lot of people like it.
Okay,
People think it's fun.
Well, I might watch it. Like, I'm not stopping watching train movies.
I was going to say, I don't think you're done now. Like,
I'm not done at all.
Not only have you watched one from each decade, you have 5 honourable mentions.
Yeah.
Reuben, would you recommend starting watching train cinema?
I would recommend no, because most people are not like me. Most people are not insane, and most people are not. There's such a wide range here. Some people are going to enjoy lots of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend the 5 best ones.
Okay.
If I'd thought about this in advance, I would have done one from every different genre. But I'm actually just going to say Unstoppable is really good.
Yeah.
The General is really good. If you haven't watched an old movie, if you haven't watched a black and white movie in a long time, or if you haven't watched anything from earlier than the 30s or 40s, watch this.
Yeah.
Because you won't be bored.
Yeah, great.
Which a lot of them are boring, the old movies. Before Sunrise and Brief Encounter. That's numbers 3 and 4. Very good movies that make very good movies, barely trained movies. And The Train, John Frankenheimer, 1964. 2 trains, runaway train, heist, chase, train crash that they did for real because it was 1964. Burt Newman? No, Burt Lancaster. Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'm sure a bunch of listeners will be as hyped as I am right now to go and watch some train films.
I'm sure that they will not be.
Hey, if you've watched a train film, write in.
I want to hear about it.
Email us stinishedit@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram. And we'll also be asking next week, hey, have you started or finished anything? So let us know if you've started or finished any train movies.
Anyway, sorry that took ages and I have to go soon, so I'm sorry. But
it's all good.
Also, I'm not sorry. I've been waiting so long. I'm so excited. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome.
I was thinking the listeners, you have to listen.
I enjoyed it though. I'm
glad. You inspired me with your Melbourne International Film Festival, even though you didn't really do it. So I went, what if I did watch 10 movies? Oh my God, can you imagine? I couldn't get that passionate about a fake movie.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, got to bolster that up. It's a fun skill to have.
Anyway, I get to log them all on Letterboxd now, so that's fun.